Welcome to Cash Flow Friday, where my job is to challenge you to be able to have your income that's going to exceed your expenses. And how do we do that? Well, we do that with real estate investing. And so today, I do want to hit on, make sure my camera's okay for my IG people. So, one of the things I do want to hit on is understanding what happens when we let our emotions become the driving factor of whether we purchase a property in a certain area. And I've learned a lot about this, and I'm just going to share tips that has made me helpful to be more grounded in any decisions I make when it comes to real estate investing. And my job for you is that as you grow your real estate portfolio, that this will give you a better guidance. And then two, obviously, link in the bio if you want to start going deeper and you want to start taking action now. I'm opening up 10 spots and had a great training at 2:30 today. And so if you want to get the replay to that on what is the offer and what are some of the things that I'm teaching individuals when it comes to real estate investing, make sure you go to the link in my bio. If you're on Facebook or if you are on YouTube, you can be able to look at the description below. So let's say you found a property, and let's just say this house or these properties was for sale of a total of $500,000. Okay. Now, what often happens is if you are excited about investing and you say, I'm ready to jump in and start investing. I've gone to Cash Flow Friday, or I've talked to Brian, or I've listened to who I need to listen to. I'm ready to get into it and I'm ready to do what needs to be done. So the number one thing you have to be very aware of to eliminate being very too emotional about purchasing some, because let's say you're excited for getting started, you want to get into it and you want to make it happen. Number one, you have to be, make sure I spell it right, competent. So competence allow you from not having to overpay for property. So let's just say you're looking at this property, you got to start asking the questions like, okay, what neighborhood is this in? And if I'm willing to buy this, is it in, now number one, is it in a good area? But two, is it in an area that has a lot going for itself? So one of the main things that I've learned when it comes to investing in real estate is that I don't do enough studying, becoming competent about the area. It can easily lead to overpaying. Now, how I become competent depends on your learning style. Maybe you're somebody who like to read books. Maybe you're somebody who like to attend seminars. Maybe you're somebody who like to go meet people and talk and get examples. Whatever it is, you need to grow very competent in anything when it comes to real estate investing. And so what did I do? In the beginning, in my journey, I was very mindful of connecting with people who've had the experience that I want and also learning from them, getting in front of them and talking to them. And for you, if it's me or whoever else, like the job is to get you to start and to get you to grow and to get you to this point where on Fridays you have something paying you instead of you using your time to get money. Because here's one myth: time does not equal money. And here's why I say that. If you only focus on your time equal money, that means any and everything that you do, you only and always are going to make sure, hey, I need to work more time to get this amount of income. Now, it is some point, if you have a diligent plan and you've thought through things like you need to, you're going to have to put time in, yes. But it is the reality of putting that time in and being mindful of what are the things you need to do to get better. So competent is the number one thing that you need to do to be able to avoid. Number two, now think about this as a CMA. So now a CMA is a comparable market analysis. So anytime you are trying to avoid being emotional about any real estate decision, let's think about if you want to make renovations to it. Oftentimes when people think that like, hey, if I add the beams at the top of the ceiling, or if I add a certain type of floor or a certain type of countertop, they believe that if I spend $10,000, so let's say if I spend 10K, then this is going to boost my value up minimum 10K, right? And this is like on renovations. If you want to do renovations, reno. So if you chose to do renovations on the property, then you say, all right, well, CMA is a comparable market analysis. When you understand the importance of studying, any smart investor is always going to ask the question of, okay, if I need to get a investment property and I'm very smart about the area, either I have my team, that means my real estate professionals who's invested in this area, I'm a real estate agent who got my back, broker, loan officer. And if I've asked the questions to them, I'm saying, hey, if I want to make improvements on a property, then how can I make sure that the houses that have sold in the area, and generally, like, I always look at it, sometimes you need to do 6 months if the area does not have a lot of sales. Sometimes you can go out a year, 2 years. It really just depends on the specific of the area. But when you become very competent about, hey, this area, if you make this much improvements, just because you make $10,000 of improvement does not always mean like you're going to get that out. And it's a lot of factors that factors in that you need to think of when you are trying to make a good logical and an emotional decision when it comes to real estate investing. So make sure you have a professional that you're talking to, especially if you're beginning or you want to grow and scale, because it is a certain mindset. It's like, hey, if I want to make sure I keep in my cash flow, if I want my numbers in return wants to be minimum $200, $300, $400 a month, then you have to do a lot of due diligence, which comes from here, understanding the importance of competence. Okay. And so don't overpay for a property because you believe, man, if I put all this work into it, this is going to boost the value. It is literally, you can literally get to a point where you can put, it's a max to every area that you invest in. And so that max itself, you need to be careful of, like, hey, if I invest in this property, I need to only put X amount of dollars in it, because the market, regardless of that, and unless I just continue, I'm going to hold on to it for a very, very long time. And most of the time when you're starting off and you want to buy your first property, you do using like the zero down method, and you are saying that, hey, this is going to be about 5-year game plan. This is going to be a 10-year game plan, which leads to this, my last point. Clarity. So understanding when you have an investment property, and I'm gonna tell you a story about something that happened to me, and this is gonna help you become better when it comes to investing. So when you have clarity on your long-term strategy, not just like the next 30 days, not even just the 6 months, you have to get to a point where you say, okay, I want to invest in X property, and by choosing to invest in this property, I know how to check in on if I have paid too much for this property, competence. I know if I'm going to put a certain amount of money to it, looking at my CMAs, studying the market, and then if I have clarity. If I say I want to, let's just say I want to make $100,000 a year in just my passive income, then that means I need to make at least $8,300 a month. And so you say, all right, well, if I divide that by, let's just go a high number, 500. So if I divide that by 500, that means I need to buy a property or a door have to cash flow $500, and I need to have at least 17 doors. That's going to cash flow me $500. That's going to get me to $8,300, which will equate to me being able to pay over $100,000. So let me write that down for you. So if I say 8,300 divided by $500 cash flow, then that mean I need 16.6 or 17 doors, right? Because this is going to give me $100K. So if I know that this is my case, so that means everything that I do is going to say, does this property cash flow me the very minimum $500? And is it going to increase over time with the area that I'm looking at? So if I look at a property and then I say, well, you know what? This is going to be a property that's going to cash flow maybe $100. And let's just say it's a good deal. And and I'm gonna hold on to it because the short-term rentals that is in this area are constantly going up, and they're doing a lot of renovations. And here's the thing which you have to be very careful of, and this is what I learned. When we invested in one of our investment properties in Houston, Texas, and this was a short-term rental model that we use, meaning it's 12 months out of the year, and the turnover is weekly, sometimes every day. Now, I have to make sure I factor my costs in of paying people, changing out linens, changing out soap, changing out all the toiletries and things that need to be changed out. Okay, cool. So if I change out that and I say, all right, well, the area that it's in, I remember the area that we invested in this property was an area that was very close to my upbringing, meaning my mom and dad and my mom and my grandpa and them, they had property in this area. And so when I invested in that property, I was like, man, this would be a great opportunity to build my legacy, a lot of things I'll talk to you about. And so when I bought the property, it was on a short-term rental. It was on a short-term rental model, meaning cash flow was a little bit thin, which means that my numbers have to match each month in, month out. See, the thing with the short-term model is that it has to make sense year round. And we had some success in another market, so it's a completely different market. So I studied and I connected with the people like necessary. But over time, here's the thing I started to see in some of those houses, or the bookings that we was having. Well, those bookings itself, it became a little hard to make sense of what was my goal. If I was clear about what I was doing, where I was going, did it make sense? And if it didn't make sense, all my IG people needed to see the screen. So if it did not make sense, then how do I know if it's time to get rid of this property? Because you have what is called, you generally, if you hold on to a property for too long, you're holding to an underperforming property. So that means is if I'm not clear about where I'm going and the direction I'm going, then I need to know that only holding on to something that is no longer cash flowing is going to hurt me. And if I don't have the additional resources to take care of it because of the long-term benefit that it will go to, I need to let go of it. And so gaining clarity, like for me in that example, helped me understand like, okay, we got to let this property go. Why? Because if I don't let this property go, this is now an underperforming asset, and I have clarity on where I'm going and the direction I'm going. And the reality of it is, the longer I try to stay in this, the more it's going to hurt. And that hurts your profit, but it hurts your pride. Like, no one wants to be able to fail when it comes to real estate investing, but that's a valuable lesson that I learned and that I teach others, because it's like, listen, when it comes to investing in real estate, I have to be aware. I have to be aware of what is the goal and having good clarity. So, just to recap, competence. Me being competent is me being able to study. Because, I don't know if you ever heard it said, competence brings confidence. Competence brings confidence. So, I mean, when I say something, I am for sure, I have backing, I have facts, I have the history that's going to say, no, I'm not going to buy this property. I'm not going to pay over, because I have confidence from my study and I'm very competent on what I'm looking at. And this property will never exceed its value within the time frame that I'm looking to do within 5 years, turn this around to be able to buy something bigger. So therefore, I am not going to do that. Number two, I also know, studying my CMAs, comparable market analysis, that the properties itself are not in a position where if I put X amount of dollars, I won't get that in return. And if I hold on to it over time, maybe, but that's a risk you have to say, I may be willing to take, Maybe you can get more rent because of how the design itself will look. And that's another thing that you can consider. But you need to also look at the rents in that area and what everybody getting. You can push rents. I'm big on pushing rents. I pushed rents when we got into the market and was able to utilize rents based on understanding what was already being asked in that area and how I would be able to enter into some of these properties. But the reality is you need to get to clarity. Understanding clarity where you want to go. If I said that I want to make $100K in real estate investment, it's simple math. That means that's $8,300 a month. I need to find a cash flowing property that was $500 a door. It can be one property. It can be one house. It can be a duplex. It can be a quadplex, regardless. And from there, that means that is 17 doors. So 17 doors, I need to be able to get that underneath my belt. And if I get to that, that means I have $100K. Only 17 doors. Think about that. And I want you to also think of the fact of now you're leveraging your money to make you money. And then if you take this money and invest more, what's going to happen? Let's say you held on to these doors, but then you take some of the selling of those doors to now go get you $1,000. Now your money have made money, and now you're really getting to the point where you have true financial freedom. And that only comes from your ability to take the time to become competent and understanding your market, looking at comparable market analysis, and also having clarity on where you're going. Having that clarity is going to let you know, hey, I am doing the right thing. So I thank you for just joining in with me on this Cash Flow Friday. If you want to be able to join me and actually play the game, I'm going to be doing that after this. That way you can know, hey, we're here to help. And I want to see you win and get to this point that when you're looking at Cash Flow Friday, you're benefiting having minimum 10K, 15K, 20K a month that's coming in. And you want my help, make sure you go to the link below or the link in my bio so that we can start that journey for you and begin getting more competent about real estate investing, what's available to you, and also how you can be able to join a group of people that's going to help you and push you get to that point. I appreciate you for watching. Happy Cash Flow Friday. And always remember, if you didn't come from a wealthy family, make sure a wealthy family come from you. Talk to you soon.